Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a bit of a controversial topic of controlled crying. It's part of the channel mum discussion. My channel is linked in with their channel and their website, so if you haven't heard of them before or you haven't seen any of their videos, they're great, and I will leave a link below so you can go and check them out. So controlled crying can be a bit of a touchy subject amongst parents, mums, and especially I think, and it is something that I personally have done and I do agree with. So my experience with controlled crying has been quite a good and positive one. I didn't really have to implement it too much with my children. Elise is my eldest, and to be honest, I didn't really have to do it with her at all. I think I may have done it once or twice when she was being a bit fussy and fighting her naps, and I found with both of mine, it's mainly been nap time I've had to do control crying with. So it's probably another topic to discuss, but personally for me, I think if you want to try and get your children sleeping through the night, a really good routine from as early on is key. But as I said, I'll talk about that in another subject. So yeah, I have done control crying. I haven't really had to do it a huge amount, as I've just said. It's mainly been nap times because bedtime, they've always been really great at going to bed. So for me, I haven't followed it to the T. I've kind of adapted it to what I feel comfortable doing and what my children have, you know, managed to, what's the word, be okay with. I've never let them cry for long periods of time. I've never let them to cry it out because that is a completely different technique. One I wouldn't try personally. But control crying has worked really well for me. So basically what I've done with my children, I would settle them, put them in their cot and leave the room. If they start to grizzle, cry, I would probably leave it 10-20 seconds just to see if it's, the odd murmur or grizzle that they've been doing. If they are continuing, I will go back in and try and soothe them. So I'd rub sort of like the bridge above their nose. That always seems to relax them quite a lot. Tuck them back in, kind of shh them to sleep. And if they have like a musical box or white noise, we use a You in the Dream sheet, which is the best £30 I've ever spent with my son. So I highly recommend them, and I'd make sure that was on and I'd leave the room. I would probably then leave them for about a minute. I know some people do it the other way and they leave them for longer to start with and then gradually decrease how often, but for me I did it sort of for about a minute and I would go back in and again try and soothe them. If they were really getting quite unsettled, I would pick them up, so again kind of incorporating a little bit of the pick up put down method. I will leave links to all these methods from information I find online in the description box below for you. So yeah, I'd pick him up, give him a little cuddle, kind of shoo him back to sleep, not really engaging in too much of a conversation, keeping the lighting low, keeping my voice very low, so that he understood that it was, time to sleep. You may notice I'm saying he quite a lot. Charlie has been more of my difficult sleeper out of the two, so this is mainly stuff I've had to do with him, and it probably hasn't been until he's maybe been about a year old that I had to start doing this, when he kind of was becoming more aware of his surroundings and thought, you know what, mum, don't really fancy a nap today, but I know as his mum that he has needed it. And I find the days when he used to skip his naps, we'd have a really bad night, because they say that for their development and for learning they need a certain amount of sleep, and I'm not talking about trying to control cry with a very new baby. I believe the recommendation is sort of 5-6 months onwards. As I said, it's not something I've really had to sort of implement strongly until about a year old. So yeah, I would continue just to keep going in. I think the longest I've ever left my children to cry is probably maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I know they recommend up to 10 minutes, but personally my heart couldn't cope with that, and I found that they were then starting to get a little bit on the distress side, and for me that's not something I wanted them to do. I want them the reassurance that they know that mummy is coming back, and I will always go to my children's cries. I wouldn't just leave them for hours on end to cry. That's just something personally I know I don't feel comfortable doing. And yeah, for me it worked great, and I've probably not had to do it for more than 2-3 days maximum when I've done it with both Charlie and Elise. I think I've done it once or twice with her, and they, touch wood, aside from teething and when they're poorly, because that's completely different, they are fantastic sleepers. They go to bed no trouble. They know bedtime is bedtime. They have comforters, they have white noise, and they soothe themselves, and we all get a good night's sleep. And I'm a great person when I've had a good night's sleep. I think we all are. My mum always used to say to me, if you can get your sleep, you can handle anything the day throws at you. And it's completely true. If I'm well rested, the kids are well rested, we all have a more productive day. They seem to be in a better mood, I'm in a better mood, and it works great. So yeah, I would recommend control crying to anyone. But at the end of the day, you are your child's mum, dad, or, you know, caregiver, and you just need to do what is comfortable for you. If you don't feel comfortable control crying and you want to do, you know, co-sleeping, baby wearing, go for it. You know, if it's working for you as a family and you're all sleeping well and you're all functioning well and you're happy, crack on. Who is anyone to tell you that that is wrong? Just like if you are doing control crying and someone's telling you you're wrong, and it's, I've seen comments about it's child abuse and, oh, you mustn't love your child, and as someone who has done control crying, that those comments are hurtful, and I wouldn't, you know, bash another parent for their choices. So I don't expect people to bash mine, and my children are very much loved. I have a wonderful bond with both of them. They are very much, you know, mummy and daddy's boys and girls, and for us, that technique worked for us. They are now 2 in a couple of weeks, oh, sob, and nearly 5, and as I said, brilliant sleepers. And yeah, so I would recommend it. And before I end this video, I would like to add that as a mum, if you're a mum now, you'll get what I'm about to say, and if you're not a mum and you're at the moment and you're pregnant and you're worrying about this, you do learn to know your child's cries. So, you know, don't ever ignore a fretful cry or a painful cry or a hungry cry, because obviously they are crying for a reason. And when my mum, both my nan said this to me, I thought, what are you talking about? But you do, and I can hear from their cry, and I'm like, something's wrong. It might be his teeth, or he's not feeling well, or he's too hot, or he's too cold. And that's why as well, I like the control crying for me rather than, you know, cry it out and other techniques there are, because I'm always going in there, and so I know that I've checked on them and they're not too hot or they're not too cold, and yeah, just to make sure they're all right, because I just wouldn't be able to shut the door and not check on them, you know, on regular intervals. So yeah, before I keep waffling on about this, if you have any questions about control crying, please leave a comment below. Please don't leave any negative comments on here. If you aren't for control crying and you've had other methods, I'd still love to hear your views, but you know, if it's going to be you're a terrible mum, don't really want to hear it, and I would never write something like that on somebody else's post. But thank you very much for watching. As I said, I will leave a link below to the Channel Mum site where there are more mums like me discussing this topic. I hope you found it interesting and helpful if you are a new mum or you've got a baby that is struggling at the moment with getting them to sleep. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching. If you've liked my video, please give it a big thumbs up and click subscribe so you will get alerts when I upload my videos. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!